All right, so we've talked about the actual formulas that we're going to use. X equals r cosine theta and y equals r sine theta. And again, let me write that up top here. All right, so for example 1, we're going to find the rectangular coordinates of each point. So if you need to stop the video and go ahead and write that down and get A, go and do that really quick. All right, so keep moving forward. We're going to change this polar, because this is our r, and this is our theta here. We're going to change our polar to rectangular coordinates. So here, we're going to be using the formulas that we have up here. So x equals r cosine theta, and y equals r sine theta. And so all we're going to do is substitute our 5 in for r and our theta, pi over 3 in for theta. And then we already know our value, so we're going to simplify it from there. So here we have 5 cosine pi over 3. And we have y equals 5 sine pi over 3. And so at this point, you should know what sine pi over 3 is and cosine pi over 3, because that's part of our unit circle values that we learned last time. So, learned before, not last time, but we've done this a while back. So cosine pi over 3 is 1/2. So hopefully you guys remember that. And then here, for sine pi over 3, it's square root of 3 over 2. And then the last thing is just go ahead and simplify that down, so we have down to 1 fraction. So that's 5 over 1, or we just multiply it and get 5 over 2. So 5 over 1 times 1/2 is 5 over 2. And then here we just multiply it. We get y equals 5 square root of 3 all over 2. So our rectangular coordinate is 5 over 2 and 5 square root of 3 over 2. Simple and easy. So not hard at all. Simple and easy there. So we're going to continue on with B and then actually have you do some other stuff. All right, so the first one was pretty easy. Let's go with B. We're going to do the same thing with this part, but this time you will need a calculator because these aren't the perfect ones that we know, like square root of 3 over 2. The values when it comes to this is not like pi over 2 or pi over 3 or 5 pi over 6 or 7 pi over 6 or anything of that sort. So we're going to have to actually use a calculator for this one to get a decimal answer. When it comes to those that you should know the values for because it's on the unit circle, I need to see like square root of 3 over 2s or the 1/2s or anything of that sort. But if it's something that is actually like not on the unit circle that we've not originally talked about, like this one, we need to go ahead and put that into the calculator and find the answer. So again, here we have these two. And we're using x equals r cosine theta for x again. And y equals r sine theta for y again. Because sine is y, cosine is x. Substitute the values in again. And we know because it's a negative r, if you were to graph it out, it would go backwards because it's a negative r. No matter if it's sine or cosine, it'll still be a negative r. You'll back it up. All right, so then when we multiply these, or when we actually do cosine of negative 70, and if you want to, you can put all that in the calculator at the same time if you want to here, because it's going to be a decimal answer. But I'm going to do it piece by piece. So I get negative 13 times 0.34202. And this is for x. And then for y, we get negative 13 times negative 0.93969. A bunch of nines there. All right, and then we multiply that part, and it will give us what the value is for x and the value is for y. So we multiply it, and I'm going to do the approximate sign because we're going to round. When you multiply it, it gives you a long number there, a longer number than what I'm going to give you. but I have rounded this to 2 decimal places. So we get negative 4.45. So if you put that in the calculator and you get an answer, you're going to round it 2 decimal places here and get this part. Same thing for here. When you put that into the calculator, you multiply it, and it gives you 12.2 and then some other numbers behind that, and this rounds to 12.22. And again, because we're rounding, we're going to use the approximate sign. So it is important that you use the approximate signs here when you're rounding it. Like for example here, you didn't have to use approximate signs because those were the actual fractions, and that would be the exact value. But because these are not exact values, you must round them, which means that you're going to get that approximate sign there. So here our rectangular coordinates is negative 4, 4.5, and 12.22. So 45 hundredths and 22 hundredths. So negative 4 and 45 hundredths and 12 and 22 hundredths. And that's it. That's how you do change from polar to rectangular.